Hey, have you ever met someone who studies way less than you, but somehow remembers everything? Like they barely touched the textbook and boom, perfect score. Meanwhile, you're sitting there like, did I even open the same book? If you're nodding right now, welcome. You're not alone. Let's talk about how Japanese students, yes, the same ones famous for academic pressure, are actually learning smarter, not harder. And no, it's not just about studying until 2 a.m. with 15 cups of green tea. There's something deeper. And we're going to break it down today in the most chill, friendly, no BS way possible. So grab your coffee or tea or bubble tea and let's dive in. 1. The myth of more study, more memory. We grow up thinking the more you study, the more you remember. Wrong. Think about this. Have you ever reread the same page 5 times and still forgot what it said? Japanese students don't rely on more time. They rely on better methods. Because here's the truth. Your brain doesn't remember things just because you spent hours on it. It remembers based on how you interact with the information. And this brings us to one of the biggest memory hacks they use. 2. The power of active recall, not just reading. Most people study like this. Read notes, highlight, read again, maybe cry. But that's passive. Japanese students, especially the top performers, use something called active recall. It sounds fancy, but it's simple. Instead of just reading, you test yourself constantly. Let's say you're studying a biology chapter. Instead of reading it 10 times, close the book after one read and ask, what were the key points? Can I explain this in my own words? If someone asked me about this, could I answer without looking? That's active recall, and it forces your brain to actually retrieve the info, which is how memory gets stronger. You're not just feeding your brain, you're training it to find the info when you need it, like building a muscle. The more you recall, the stronger it gets. 3. Spaced repetition, the Japanese memory multiplier. Here's where things get exciting. If active recall is the gym workout, spaced repetition is the perfect training schedule. Japanese students often space their reviews over days instead of cramming it all in one night. Why? Because our brains are designed to forget things we don't use. But when you revisit something just before you forget it, your brain says, oh, this must be important, and locks it in deeper. There's actually a science chart behind this. It's called the forgetting curve. It shows how fast we forget stuff, unless we review it at smart intervals. So instead of studying the same topic 3 hours in one go, you might study it for Day 1, 20 minutes. Day 3, 15 minutes. Day 7, 10 minutes. Day 14, quick recap. That's it. Way less stress, way better memory. Some Japanese students even use apps like Anki or Quizlet to automate the spacing. Imagine your phone reminding you, hey, it's time to quickly review that concept before your brain throws it out. Genius. 4. Why writing by hand works, and why Japanese students still do it. Here's something interesting. In a world full of screens, Japanese students still handwrite a lot of their notes. Why? Because writing by hand activates parts of your brain that typing just doesn't. When you write something down, especially in your own words, you're not just copying, you're processing. And that means you're more likely to remember it later. Think of it this way. Typing is like taking a photo. Writing is like sketching it from memory. One's quick, the other sticks. So next time you're reviewing a topic, try writing the summary in your own messy handwriting. Not perfect, not pretty, but personal. That little extra effort, totally worth it. 5. Study like you're teaching someone else. One of the best hacks Japanese students use? They don't just study for themselves. They study like they have to teach someone else later. Because when you teach something, even if it's just pretending to explain to a friend, your brain treats that info completely differently. Try this. After learning something new, imagine explaining it to your younger sibling, or your cat, or your friend who's always on TikTok. Keep it simple. No jargon, just real talk. If you can explain it clearly, it means you understand it. If you can't, well, guess what? Your brain's saying, hey, we've got more work to do. It's called the Feynman technique, named after a Nobel-winning physicist, and Japanese students use it all the time without even knowing its name. It's powerful. It's fun. And weirdly, it kind of makes studying less boring. 6. Tiny habits beat giant goals. Here's the thing. Most people fail at studying because they aim too big, like, I'm going to study 5 chapters tonight, or I'll finish the whole syllabus this weekend. But Japanese students, they focus on consistency, not intensity. They build small, daily habits. Maybe 20 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes after dinner. It adds up, and it feels way less scary. It's the same reason you don't brush your teeth for 2 hours once a week. You do it every day, just a bit, because success comes from what you do consistently, not occasionally. So instead of giant goals, set tiny ones. Review 5 flashcards. Explain one concept out loud. Write 3 sentences by hand. Start small. Stay steady. And your memory? It'll start doing things that surprise you. 7. Final thought for part 1. Let's be real. Studying isn't always fun. And yeah, sometimes we all procrastinate, scroll too much, or fall asleep on our notes. But the real win? It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Japanese students aren't magical. They're just smart about how they use their time and how they train their brain. And now you know their secrets too. So before you dive into your next study session, try one thing from today. Just one. Maybe it's testing yourself out loud. Maybe it's handwriting a quick summary. Maybe it's setting a 10-minute timer instead of a 2-hour plan. Whatever it is, take action. Your future self will thank you. And in part 2, we'll go even deeper. I'll show you how Japanese students manage distraction, use environment tricks, and even how their mindset affects memory. But for now, breathe. You're doing great. Welcome back. So now that we've got the study methods down, active recall, spaced repetition, handwriting, and more, let's talk about the other half of the picture. The stuff people often ignore. The habits, the mindset, and even the environment that Japanese students use to level up their memory without burning out or hating their lives. This part, it's just as important as how you study. Let's keep going. 1. Focus is a skill, not a superpower. Have you ever tried studying and 5 minutes in, you're checking Instagram, watching a random YouTube short, or wondering what your ex is doing? Totally normal, but here's the difference. Top Japanese students train their focus like a muscle. They're not born with some magical concentration power. They just set up their environment to make focus easier. For example, phones on silent, or better yet, in another room. Set time blocks. 25 minutes study, 5 minutes break, also called the Pomodoro technique. Study spaces equals study only. The bed is for sleeping. The desk is for work. They separate them clearly. And it works, because when you treat focus as a habit, not a willpower test, you win. Try this. Before your next session, remove just one distraction. That's it. Maybe it's turning off notifications. Maybe it's closing extra tabs. Small changes, big results. 2. Japanese students use learning triggers. Here's a cool trick. Japanese students often use visual or physical triggers to help their brain switch into study mode. Think of it like a routine your brain starts recognizing. It could be something simple like always starting with a warm cup of tea, lighting a specific scent like citrus or mint, wearing the same hoodie or using the same pen every time you study. Sounds weird, right? But these little rituals send a message to your brain. Hey, it's time to focus. And over time, your brain gets faster at entering the right state. Kind of like how athletes have warm-ups. Your brain needs one too. 3. Mindset. They don't fear mistakes, they use them. This one's huge. A lot of students hate making mistakes. It feels like failure. But in Japan, especially in traditional learning culture, there's this idea of kaizen, constant improvement, little by little. Mistakes aren't shameful. They're part of learning. Top students actively look for what they got wrong so they can fix it faster. It's not, I'm so stupid. It's, that's where I tripped. Let's fix it. That mindset shift, game changer. So the next time you get something wrong on a quiz, instead of beating yourself up, ask, why did I get this wrong? What can I do next time? That's how you build real memory. Not perfect recall, but adaptable memory. 4. They use memory anchors, not just facts. Here's a fun trick Japanese students often use without even realizing it. They attach stories, images, or emotions to the things they study. It's called memory anchoring, because your brain doesn't remember random numbers. It remembers meaning. Example, if you're trying to memorize the word metamorphosis, instead of repeating the definition, imagine a caterpillar becoming a butterfly in slow motion, like a Pixar movie in your mind. Boom. Locked in. Or for history dates, connect them to personal events. Okay, the treaty was signed in 1951. That's the same year my grandma was born. That emotional or visual link? That's the anchor. Your brain loves connections. Use them. 5. They study in micro moments, not just big blocks. We often think studying needs to be this massive thing. Books open, laptop ready, headphones on, 2-hour chunk. But Japanese students often take advantage of micro moments throughout the day, like reviewing flashcards on the train, mentally recalling facts while brushing teeth, testing themselves in the shower. Yes, really. These tiny moments, 2 to 5 minutes, add up fast. Imagine doing that 5 times a day. That's 25 minutes of spaced active recall without even realizing it. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need to show up consistently, even in small windows. 6. Sleep is sacred, not optional. Here's a twist most people don't expect. The best Japanese students don't pull all-nighters. In fact, many of them guard their sleep like it's part of the study plan, because it is. During deep sleep, your brain actually moves information from short-term memory to long-term storage. So if you study hard but don't sleep, it's like writing notes and then shredding them the same night. Try this for 1 week. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of good sleep. No doom scrolling, no caffeine bombs at midnight. You'll be shocked how much better your memory gets. Sleep isn't lazy. It's the most underrated study hack in the world. 7. They learn with a purpose, not just for grades. Want to know the ultimate reason Japanese students retain so much? They tie their studies to a bigger purpose. For some, it's getting into a top university. For others, it's helping their family, becoming a teacher, or even just proving to themselves they can do it. They study with meaning. Because when learning feels connected to your future, your brain treats it differently. It's not just information. It becomes identity. So ask yourself, why do I want to remember this? Where will this take me? Even if the subject feels boring, if you tie it to something bigger, it becomes more powerful. Final message. Let's be honest. Studying isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about understanding yourself, your brain, your habits, your why. Japanese students aren't doing magic. They're just playing a smarter game, one that anyone, including you, can start today. So here's your challenge. Pick one thing from this video. Do it today. Doesn't have to be perfect, just real. Because learning how to learn, that's the most powerful skill you'll ever have. And hey, you're already doing better than most. You cared enough to watch this video. You stayed till the end. That means something. Now go out there and make your brain proud. You got this. Like plus subscribe for more no-fluff brain and life upgrades.